I'm in the woods next to my house and got a mix of trees in here. And I've always enjoyed the woods, reading about the woods, and even as a kid, a book that I read when I was a kid was called Miracles on Maple Hill. And I really enjoyed that book. In fact, I even read it as an adult a time or two. Another book that I've read was Little House in the Big Woods about Laura Ingalls. Something that both of those books had in common was they talked about making maple syrup. And I have to admit, both of those books, even though it seemed like a lot of work and I got really tired in the one, that was something that really appealed to me, the idea of being able to make your own syrup. But I live in South Jersey, and so making maple syrup was not something that I ever thought about as a kid because, let's face it, South Jersey isn't the big woods, it isn't New York, New Hampshire, Vermont, any place like that where you typically think of making maple syrup. It's South Jersey. And it was just something that kind of got pushed to the back of my mind. It even talks about making it in one of the books I have, Back to Basics, which I know some of you may have as well. But like I said, I live in South Jersey. And I went to college and learned about the trees. And learned that the tree that we have here that's native is red maple. And yeah, you'll see other maples planted, typically Norway silver and some sugar, but by and large the maple that's here is red maple. So figured that even if I wanted to make maple syrup I wouldn't be able to. Then I started doing some research and found out that yeah, you can indeed use red maple for making syrup. The only problem is I didn't have red maple on my property except for a couple of really small trees, and I only have a little bit more than half an acre. We had one time been on vacation and brought home a little sugar maple, planted that in the backyard, and something ate it. If they hadn't, I might have been able to have that tree big enough now, probably would have, since it would have been 30 some years old for maple syrup. But instead, I just didn't have the trees in my yard. And last year I got to thinking, Dad has 2 acres and he had several red maple. So I decided I was going to try it. And wasn't able to get a whole lot because I didn't know what I was doing and I was late getting started at it and the taste was different than what I was used to. And I thought it was a failure. And then I stopped, got to where I couldn't get any more sap and actually got to where I liked the taste of the syrup. And of course Dad's house went up for sale and it sold. And the woods next to us were also sold. And while we've gotten wood out of here for years, didn't really want to do much more because it wasn't our property. Well, the guy that owns the land now, somebody that my husband used to work with, and basically told us to treat the woods like they were ours as long as we weren't doing anything crazy like cutting down live trees, which I wouldn't do anyway. So I went ahead and I made maple syrup. Now, admittedly, I got out here later than I wanted to with everything going on with my husband. Weather was kind of crazy. We had so many days that were just too cold for the sap to flow in February, so I did not get as much as I wanted. And with the red maple, it's pretty much stopped flowing. Now, you can't see it from here, but there is one Norway maple over that direction, which I have that tapped. That's still flowing. And on Sunday, I was telling them about it, what I'm doing at church, and they seemed interested. There's a red maple, or not a red maple, a Norway maple at the church. Told them, well, I'm going to try to tap that. They said, go for it. So those 2 trees I'm still getting sap from. So this is where my journey is basically starting with making maple syrup and maple sugar. I will be talking more about it. It's not quite going to be in the order I had originally wanted to do. I'd been going to start this last year and never got to it. So this is where the journey begins. And I'll be making at least another 1 or 2 videos in the not too distant future, and then probably have to stop for a little bit. But we're going to be talking about identifying your maple trees, things that you should be doing before you get out there and tap, the equipment you need, and then the actual process itself. I'm also starting to make some maple sugar, so I hope to talk to you later. Bye bye.